Hello, guys, and welcome back to What's News. I'm J77. I got a couple of stories I want to talk about. One at a request from a friend of mine who's been following me for quite some time. But before I get to that, I want to show you something in the paper here that the New York Post have that Bill Blasio, the Commissioner of New York, had brought out. Something that I have talked about in previous What's News. It's involving the Port Authority and their so-called heavy security. They've been pretty much under fire now for the last few days, few weeks actually, because of a few things that's been happening. And there's no coincidence. I mentioned this before. When you try to cut corners and don't do the one thing you're supposed to do, bad things will come about it. And people are criticizing them, especially for what they feel is not taking security very seriously. Personally, I've already said this. I think that it should be those who are heavily armed security guys, those who have even ties with the NYPD or the feds for that matter, to secure not only just the World Trade Center, but that whole entire area in general. It is still considered a hot spot. It is still considered a sweet spot for terrorists who want to do us harm. And especially since tourists is going to be going back and forth with the 9/11 Memorial, you want to make sure that security is very, very tight. Now, the port authorities have already came out and said that they're taking it seriously. They're going to put high-tech cameras, this wall, whatever the hell that is. But they say they do take security extremely seriously when it comes to people's safety. I want to show you something. This is from today's Post, which is Monday. I'm going to show you the Post right now. This is the New York Post. This is what you see here. NYPD off. Bratton is not happy, and if you can see, I know this is kind of difficult. I'm going to try and put it right where you guys can see it. It says here that Bratton slams embarrassing World Trade Center security. Now I'm going to show you something why. This is supposed to be the top-notch security. This is something that represents the Port Authority and represents why when somebody say they take security very seriously, it's obviously they're not paying attention to who they hire and at what cost. This is one of the security guys. You can see the title says Wake Up World Trade Center, and you can see that security guy, and what is he doing? Well, he's not monitoring the monitors, he's actually sleeping on the job. And this is something that has become a major issue. Okay? And I'll say this again, when you hire people who are not real trained professionals, who hasn't have a background in law enforcement or high tech or major security, when you hire people who are not really security guards but babysitters who are getting paid minimum wage at best, stuff like this is going to happen. All right, you cannot have this type of security and expect good things. It's never going to be that way. And Braxton is now saying some stuff. I'm gonna read the article here. And by the way, if I can catch this article online, I will post that article, the electronic version, online for you. But I'm gonna read it on the paper as it says here because it caught me really quick. Bought the paper and decided to read this article because it's very, very telling here. Um, Police Commissioner Bill Bratton blasted the Port Authority Sunday over the strains of shocking security lapses at the Federal Freedom Tower, including two guards sleeping at their posts, the two cases of daredevils making their way to the top of the skyscraper. He said that the PA, Port Authority, has responsibilities for the site and also took shots at the Dust organization, which had hired the guards. Now, when you hear these organizations, you got to remember that there are different types of security guard organization. These security guards, they train them, they send them out by according to the vendors that they have contract with. And again, when you hear stuff like this, pretty much that vendor that the PA has association with will pretty much be gone because once they contract up or once they have something like a repeated offense of this, it reflects back on that company, and a PA has the right to actually terminate them, which they should have done weeks ago. It also says here. All right, let me just go right here. The one who was photographed snoozing by the Post. The property manager firm should be extraordinarily embarrassed for the quality of guards they are hiring, he said at WABC, up close with Diana Williams. Senator Charles Schumer was equally angry about the breach. Uh, the buck stops at the PA, which is true. They was they're the public authority in charge of this. I am holding them responsible, he said at the news conference near the World Trade Center. Bratton noticed that the NYPD has spent almost 10 years helping plan overall security for the World Trade Center, adding at as that comes into play, you will see security level enhanced significantly. He also said that cops were searching for accomplished M3 BASC jumpers who was busted last week for parachuting from the Freedom Tower on September 30th. He denied the man claimed that they had hiked all the way without help to get those parachutes up on the top of the tower. He did not walk up 140 stories. Believe me, Bratton said. They had assistance getting in and out of there. We're continuing on investigation as to who else on that site may have helped them on their little jump for joy. This is not looking good for the PA at all. Again, Bratton said he hopes the judge throw the book at these men, calling them stunts, which they filmed on the site. Too many people jumped off the Twin Towers on 9/11, and so basically photograph their victory, or so it says. I have no sympathy for them, he said. Bratton said, and he felt the same about the kid who was 16-year-old who was in Jersey 2 weeks ago, sneak into the venture, out into the tower antenna, and story broke by the Post. We'll leave it at that, gentlemen. But let's get something clear here. Okay, this is an embarrassment. You know that the police department don't want to hear about thrill seekers. They see it as a serious offense, and you know they're going to say everything they say, throw the book at him. Again, I have talked about the 16-year-old. I don't think that he's going to spend jail time. I do think he's going to have parole time, including community service. As for the two skyscrapers, yeah, they were looking at them hard because that's a whole different story altogether. Not to mention the fact that they might have scared everybody out to think that they are going to jump to their deaths, or worse, something else happened that may set off alarm that they can get shot down before they even reach the ground. But the point is, everything that's happened here clearly is at the discretion of the Port Authority. Port Authority cannot continue to have inadequate security. All right, now Bratton is pretty much clear that Bratton may be involved with the security team. How much, I do not know. Keep in mind, it's still the Port Authority is still private property, but one can only ask how much more can they take before they finally get real security. And here's the thing: they said they're going to keep. They said they're gonna have all this high tech equipment, all these cameras, a special reinforced gate. All that don't really mean nothing if the people who's supposed to be running them is incompetent, and that's the whole thing. There's too much incompetence in there, and that's because of the people they hire. Again, if I'm gonna say it like it is, if you hire cheap, you're gonna get what you pay for in return. And in this situation, they're getting what they have in return. You can't afford to have babysitters in the World Trade Center. You just can't. Okay, that's what you got. All right. No disrespect for the guys. I'm pretty sure they would do good elsewhere. They're not supposed to be there. You have to have real security guards, real armed security guards who know what they're doing, who take their job seriously, and it's not going to be sleeping on a job like that one I just showed you right there. Leave your comments below. I'd like to hear your opinion on that. And I'm going to move on to the other story in New York because this is something very important I want to talk about. A lot of stuff has been happening with de Blasio lately along with this charter school. He's not a big fan of the charter schools, okay? He is totally against them. And for reasons that is pretty much clear. He doesn't want them in public school settings. He doesn't feel that the schools should share the same building with uh, with public school. Charter schools should have their own school, especially if they don't have same guidelines as the public schools should. There has been a heated battle over there. It didn't make De Blasio any popular. Actually, his ratings went down because of his stance of charter schools. There has been a lot of negativity to the point where you've seen commercials being put on pretty much in full force about charter schools. And as a result, he actually have toned it down. He did a 180, and as a result, a couple of lawsuits. Which, by the way, he was being sued by people on one side who was in favor of charter schools, and people on the other side who are not in favor of charter schools. So he was getting hit both ways. He was in a no-win situation. So he just kindly backed off. I'm gonna just give you my feeling on this. I will leave an article related to what I just said, and let you guys decide yourself. I have no problem with charter schools. I said it before. I say it again. I understand why they existed. I understand why they're there. At the same time, they should have their own building. Okay, if they shouldn't be sharing with public school. Okay, especially if they don't have to go by the same guidelines, which they do not. Charter schools don't go by the same guidelines as public school, and yet they're sharing their building, which, let's be honest, the major complaint about public school is overcrowding. Now you have charter schools just coming in there and making it even more overcrowding, not only for the people in public school, but for the charter schools as well. I mean, let them have their own building, especially if it's a private entity. Keep in mind, that's a private school. The Academy, Success Academy is a private school. All right, they really don't have to go by all the rules and regulation that the public school is being held by the state. I had a talk with my uncle who used to work in a private school. He's retired now, and a couple of family members who also are teachers, and one of them happens to work in a charter school. And we pretty much agree. The charter school is set there for one purpose: is to break the union. The city don't like the teachers union at all. There are some legitimate reasons why they don't like the teachers union, but that's what they're there for. Okay, that's why they're trying to do this, and they're doing every kind of tactics to break that union. And to me, the people who's getting hurt the most isn't the teachers. It's not the politicians. It's not the people who run in the public school or the charter school. It's the children in the middle. The children are the ones being hurt by this. And to me, this is the most unfortunate situation, because if, say, De Blasio actually succeeded and actually moved all these charter schools out of the public school setting, he's going to look like a guy who doesn't care for these kids' education. If he would have kept it there, the public will say that you're turning your back on public school and you're trying to make all the public school private. So he's in a no-win situation, and this is truly not even his mess. Bloomberg have set this whole thing up, allowing these charter schools to share spaces. And we got as well, we have this situation and this bit of battle between charter school, public school, and even preschool, which is something that Blasio has been lobbying very hard for everybody to have pre-K. To me, I really hope as the months and even years go on that both sides actually come together and resolve the situation. Because to me, we shouldn't play politics with children's education, period. But if you want my opinion, yeah, I'm totally with Blasio on this situation. If they want to run as a private entity, that's fine. Don't use public school spaces. That's just my opinion. You may disagree. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Now, this one here, this article has been given to me by a friend of mine who's been following me from the very beginning. And he gave me this about 5 days ago. But I wanted to make it a West News story because this is one of the reasons why I love dogs, but I also fear them at the same time, especially pit bulls. Now, according to this article, courtesy by ABC, courtesy by Dog Joker 666, a pit bull 5 days ago had killed the owner's 4-year-old daughter. Now, according to this article, it says that the police said a pit bull fatally attacked a 4-year-old who was watching television in a Sutton, Louisiana apartment and injured the girl's mother when the woman pulled the daughter away. The Human Police Chief Todd Duplin said that the 27-year-old Michigan toplet barricaded herself and her daughter, Mia, into the bathroom Tuesday evening and called 911. He said that he handed her child out. She had hung her child out the second floor apartment window to a rescue worker on the balcony. He said Wednesday that the officer shot and killed the dog, who was still being aggressive. The article did not know whether the girl was on the sofa or the chair or the floor when she was attacked. She was bitten on her face and head, and the mother remains hospitalized. This is a very sad story. It doesn't really say too much as to what has led to this attack. Again, this is not the first time I've heard something about this. Every now and then I bump into these stories about animals' aggression, animals attacking their owners, animals attacking their owners' children, and it pretty much go by what I say about pets in general. You gotta be very careful, especially with dogs who are aggressive in nature. You gotta be very careful, especially around your children. They may look playful, but sometimes they just snap, and all of a sudden we have this story to deal with. Again, it's very horrible. It's very horrific that it's happened. Just recently, there was a story that the judge actually spared a dog from being put to death after he attacked his owner. So these stories are big, and the only thing I can say about this is be mindful how you train your dog, be mindful what dog you actually have, and always keep an eye on what the dog is doing. I don't, again, the story is not specific on what led to this dog attacking it. Obviously, something happened that caused him to snap at the cops, even have to shot him and kill him. But again, it's a sad story, and want to remind you, just be careful with the pets you have around you, all pets, because it sometimes they be unpredictable, and this is the perfect example of it. Thanks to my partner, my friend of mine, who gave me the article. Keep them coming. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Now, this is a story that I actually wanted to talk about because this is something as a prime example of what's been going on with this country as of the last 8 years with our president. And apparently, one of the guys who thought it was a good idea to shoot up the White House has now got 25 years in prison. Hopefully, this will send a message to everybody else that this will not stand. But this is according to, I believe, the Associated Press, where Washington AFP, a man who opened fire at the White House with an assault rifle after telling friends he was on a mission from God to kill President Barack Obama, was jailed for 25 years on Monday. The story, Oscar Ramiro Ortega Hernandez drove more than 200 miles, 2,200 kilometers to the U.S. Capitol from his home to Idaho to carry out a November 2011 attack. Prosecutors said he fired at least 8 rounds at the White House after telling friends he was on a mission from God to take out Obama. Oh, boy. Obama and his family was not staying at the White House at the time, and no one was injured in the incident. Hernandez, 23, pleaded guilty to September to terror and weapons charges. In addition to his jail time, Hernandez was ordered to pay $94,000 in restitution for damages done to the White House by his attack. $94,000. He will never pay that off. He will never pay that off. He faced 5 years supervision release when he leaves prison. This man drove across country to launch an assault rifle attack on the White House, U.S. Attorney Ronald McKen said in a statement. He was motivated by hatred for the president and a desire to start a revolution against the federal government. I just think it was just hatred for the president. Because that's exactly what a lot of these guys are. They just have sustained hatred, and I'm keeping it real. Besides the fact that some of his policies, which I can understand some people don't like, a lot of them don't like him because of the color of his skin. Right? But he's not the only one. Just keep that in mind. He's just the only one I heard that got a harsh sentence like this. This 25-year sentence demonstrates that anyone who comes to the nation capital planning to use violence should expect to spend decades behind bars, which he definitely is. It says here, Hernandez was arrested in Indiana, Indiana, Pennsylvania, less than a week after his attack. According to the Justice Department, Hernandez had made repeated anti-government statements beginning in 2010, um, branding Obama as the devil and the Antichrist, while describing himself as a cold-hearted warrior for God. I just call yourself a lunatic, but then, you know, again, this is something I'm not surprised, being the fact that there's a lot of idiots, even some people and politicians in politics have made over the years. One of them said that there will be peace on earth when Obama's dead, and he was forced to retract his statement from the people who are constantly saying that he is the devil, that he is a mongrel in many ways. There's some harmful, hateful things. And after a while, when you hear this stuff, especially stuff that if you read between the lines, it's simply not true. One can only ask, what's this country coming to? There's a lot of stuff I've seen over the years, and it's not been pretty. And it comes to this just to scratch your head and it makes you wonder about just how much hatred someone has that they will actually do some stupid stuff. This is why I always say, don't let your anger and your hatred be your guide, because this may end up happening. Now, he's going to be away from his family for 25 years. His family's affected. He have hurt his family, and for what? For what? I'll leave a link below so you guys can look at it. I'd like to hear your opinion on the matter. Got one more story to talk about. Actually making good timing here. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. It has been talked about in the news. It has been circled around the World Wide Web. It has involved the stock market. It's involving an author named Jerry Claim. I believe his name. No, actually, his name is something else. Author Michael Lewis. I'm sorry. And he's basically saying was something that I don't think too many people are surprised, especially if you know the history of New York like I do. He's claiming that the stock market is rigged. Oh my God, really? I didn't know. But basically the guy is saying, and I'm saying that here, the man behind the new book, Flash Boys, appeared on CBS 60 Minutes Sunday, explained why, and his lots of people is talking Monday morning. The stock market is rigged. The United States stock market is the most iconic market. Global capitalism is rigged. He told Steve Koff by a combination of stock exchange, the big Wall Street banks, and high frequency trading confuse the host. Goes on to explain. Michael Lewis is not talking about the stock market that you see on television every day. That that's pretty much the center of the U.S. financial activities years ago. The existing today mostly of photo ops. This is the stock market of Lewis is talking about. One that where the most trade takes place now inside hundreds of thousands of black boxes located more than 60 public and private exchange. There are billions of dollars in the stock exchange handed every day with little to no public documentation. The trades are being made by thousands of robots, computers, programming to buy and sell every stock market that is spent that at the speed of 100 times faster than a blink of an eye. The system is so complex, it's all but invisible. Now, what he meaning is pretty simple, is that electronic stock marketing is now basically done in computers. They got super servers, and the fiber optic is now, with the way everything's going on now, is making it more easier for trades to be handed in without you actually have to be there. And on the one hand, this is something of a major concern that I don't think anybody had actually looked in before. And I say I'm not shocked by what he is saying, because it is a possibility that it is rigged. Because who's actually monitoring and making sure that they do not get a heads up? Because one of the major things that the news have said, that they may have a heads up. They may know 2 minutes at a time if something's going to go down, and they can adjust it. Now, how does this affect those who have investments? Well, it can affect them big time. And they mentioned, although instead of getting what 3 cents a share, you probably get 1 cent a share if they already know ahead of time what's going on. And although that may not be too much of a big deal, day after day, month after month, that can actually adds up, and that's something that a lot of people are wondering whether or not whether or not Wall Street is breaking the law. If they are, it wouldn't be surprised because let's be honest, if you know New York like I do, if you know the history of the stock market and Wall Street like I do, so the people who run Wall Street are some of the most sleaziest people they could ever met. These guys will do anything for a buck, and they will even cheat. They're people who they said that they're doing investing and trading to get that buck. It happened before. One of the earliest stock market crash happened in the late 1800s, and that was largely because nobody was policing them. They was doing all kinds of stuff all over the place, and it just basically crashed the market. Hopefully, Chuck Schumer had mentioned this. The Blasio have talked about this. Cuomo has also talked about it, and they're actually looking deep into this because they are concerned about this becoming a problem. And the last thing they want is another crash due to the fact that Wall Street have ran out of control with their practices. And they haven't said anything in terms of them breaking any laws. They say this is the most effective way, this is the way of the future. They're not going to sit there and say, yeah, we're doing this. But it is something of great importance that they need to look into because, like I said, the old ways are not the old ways anymore. We have new technologies, and yes, Wall Street is taking advantage of these new technologies. The question is, does these technology give them an edge that they shouldn't have? I'd like to hear your opinion on this situation. I will leave a link to all the articles that I've talked about, and as always, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any comments on it, any feedback at all, leave your comment section below. I'd like to hear it from you guys personally. And also, if you have an article that you want me to use for next week's What's News, put it down in the comment section or email me personally. I'll take a look at it, and if it's cool, I'll put it up. Until then, J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.